There are moments when a courtroom stops feeling like a place for paperwork and procedure, and instead becomes a stage where truth walks in with its shoulders squared, breathing heavier than anyone expected. Moments when a single sentence changes the air, and everyone inside knows that life is about to rearrange itself in ways no one can stop. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to see how far this conversation is reaching. It begins on a quiet Tuesday afternoon in Providence. The kind of afternoon when the sunlight settles gently across the city, when the courthouse steps feel almost calm. But calm disappears the moment Marco Vitali walks into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom. He is 25, but he carries himself like someone taught to believe he inherited power. Expensive black suit tailored to perfection, gold chains glinting at his collar, hair slicked back as if he stepped directly out of a story he should not be proud of. Even the way he moves suggests someone convinced consequences were things that happen to other people. Behind him sits a cluster of men dressed almost exactly the same. Their expressions are unreadable, their posture too confident, their presence too pointed to be accidental. They do not look like family coming to support a loved one. They look like observers ensuring their own rules are being followed. The bailiff calls the case, voice steady even as the room shifts uneasily. The State of Rhode Island versus Marco Antonio Vitali. Judge Caprio studies the file briefly before lifting his gaze to the young man standing before him. Mr. Marco rises slowly, straightening his suit with deliberate care. Not guilty, Your Honor, he says. But this whole situation should never have reached a courtroom. My family has traditions. We handle things internally. The words hang in the air like a quiet threat. Not shouted, not aggressive, but unmistakably intentional. Judge Caprio's tone cools, though his voice remains calm. Marco exhales as though he is patiently teaching something simple. I am Italian-American, third generation. My grandfather came here from Sicily with a code, a way of life. Omera. It means family deals with family problems. We do not drag outsiders into private matters. We settle things through respect, through loyalty. The courtroom goes silent in a way that makes every heartbeat feel louder. Judge Caprio folds his hands slowly. Mr. Marco smiles as if amused by the notion. With all due respect, Your Honor, that is movie fantasy. Omera is simply about handling things privately. It is cultural tradition. It is what my grandfather taught me. It is the confidence in his voice that unsettles the room, the casual manner in which he separates himself from the law, the way he speaks as if he is exempt. Judge Caprio does not raise his voice. He does not need to. You are charged with assaulting a 69-year-old man. The victim, Robert Sullivan, rises with care. His posture is slow, the movements of someone still recovering, though his dignity remains fully intact. I was having dinner at Rossini's, he says. His voice is steady. I have been going there for years. I was sitting at my usual table when this young man approached me. He said I was sitting somewhere I should not be. I apologized. I told him I meant no disrespect, but he insisted I had insulted his family. There is no anger in Robert's voice, just quiet hurt that someone younger, stronger, and more impulsive decided violence was the answer. Marco interrupts sharply. With respect, Your Honor, he disrespected my grandfather. In my family, that carries meaning. Judge Caprio's eyes sharpen. Marco's jaw tightens, but he nods slightly. It was not random. It was about honor. My family name carries weight. This time, someone behind him nods approvingly, confirming everything unspoken. Marco lifts his chin, pride lighting his face. Salvatore Vitali. There is a shift in the prosecutor's posture. Assistant District Attorney Michael Torres steps forward quickly. After a brief, tense exchange at the bench, Judge Caprio returns to his seat with a different expression, one weighted by knowledge the courtroom does not yet have. Mr. Marco brushes the idea aside. Rumors. Government exaggerations. He is a businessman. And he taught you this code? He taught me loyalty, Marco replies firmly. He taught me to protect the family name. That is not crime. The prosecutor presents security footage. It shows Marco initiating the confrontation, Robert trying to defuse it, and the moment violence erupts. The video is not graphic, but it tells a story words cannot soften. When it ends, the room feels colder. Judge Caprio's voice grows firm. Mr. Vitali, after assaulting Mr. Marco hesitates, then answers. I told him to remember the name Vitali. Gasps ripple across the room. Judge Caprio leans forward, voice lowering into something razor-sharp. You used violence to enforce your family's reputation. That is not cultural tradition. Marco's earlier confidence begins to crack. Your Honor, that is not what I meant. But he does not finish, because Judge Caprio lifts a hand. Clerk, contact the FBI Organized Crime Task Force. The air evaporates from the room. Someone behind Marco shifts in panic. Marco stares at the judge. You have described principles identical to organized criminal activity. Judge Caprio replies. Openly. Repeatedly. When the speakerphone connects, a steady voice enters the room. Judge Caprio explains what Marco has said. Each statement lands like a stone dropped into deep water. Marco tries to interject. It is just family tradition. Agent Romano cuts him off. Omera is not cultural tradition. It is a criminal code designed to obstruct justice. Family business is an established euphemism for organized enterprise. Street justice is extrajudicial violence. The room is silent. No one breathes. Agent Romano continues, tone crisp. Your Honor, based on Mr. Vitali's statements alone, we have probable cause to place him in federal custody for questioning. We are dispatching agents to your courtroom. Marco's composure shatters. But the door to that argument has already closed. 14 minutes later, 6 FBI agents enter with measured steps. Their presence sweeps through the room like a tide. The lead agent approaches. Marco's voice breaks as they secure the handcuffs. My grandfather will never forgive me. That one sentence seals more than his fate. The men who came with Marco are immediately questioned. Some try to leave, none succeed. The atmosphere changes from tension to realization, an unspoken truth settling across the benches. This is larger than one incident in a restaurant. Days later, the story spreads everywhere. A young man who believed he was protected by tradition discovered the cost of confusing crime with culture. An 85-year-old grandfather who thought silence could outlive the law is finally forced into the light. A veteran who only wanted dinner becomes the reason a criminal network begins to unravel. Marco eventually agrees to cooperate. He admits that the lessons he believed were cultural were in fact instructions for criminal loyalty. He speaks of meetings, expectations, conversations whispered behind closed doors. It is not the life he imagined he would expose, but it is the truth he carries. And once he begins to speak, everything shifts. His grandfather takes a plea deal, house arrest, restricted communication, a legacy interrupted not by an enemy, but by the grandson who once believed violence equaled honor. When Marco is released from federal custody after serving his reduced sentence, he requests to meet Robert Sullivan. Robert studies the young man for a long moment. Marco's posture is stripped of arrogance now. His voice has softened. I harmed you because I thought loyalty meant protecting a name, not protecting people. I thought tradition meant defending our image through force. I was wrong. Robert nods. Respect is not earned through fear, he says gently. There is a long pause between them, a meaningful one. The kind of pause where change begins to build its foundation. As for Judge Caprio, he is asked repeatedly why he made that call to the FBI. His answer is simple. When someone describes crime as culture and intimidation as tradition, the truth must be unmasked. And perhaps that is the heart of this entire story. A reminder that traditions must never be excuses, that loyalty must never become blindness, that justice does not bend for fear or power or legacy. If this moment moved you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that show how justice works when courage enters the room.